Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Meagan Coy joining us here again. Excited to have her here from beautiful Davenport, Iowa. And we're going to talk more about the Wellness Nook. That's the name of her company. And in her company, there's a lot that she offers you, from being a registered yoga teacher and also licensed massage therapist and the RCST. And people might say, well, what is that? She's a craniosacral therapist, and we'll go over that. And again, it's a registered biodynamic craniosacral therapist and all the benefits that she offers here at the Wellness Nook. Go to the Wellness Nook QC.com and of course check her out. But for now, she's going to give you a little bit of her background and talk about some of the services she provides, and then we'll dive back into that if that's okay for you.
Yeah, thank you, Jill. The Wellness Nook is my small business here in Davenport, Iowa, and I offer therapeutic massage as a licensed massage therapist, body work such as Thai yoga massage, and that incorporates Thai body work with restorative yoga poses to create an all-around lovely, relaxing experience. And then again, I'm a registered biodynamic craniosacral therapist, so I offer that in my practice as well. And I treat all ages and all people, but I do also focus on treating mothers and babies in that pre and postnatal period. And that looks like through body work and cranial sacral therapy and a combination of those, and just trying to create a nice holistic experience for mama and newborns in order to bring them into an inherent state of health, especially for the baby at the beginning stages of their life.
Beautiful.
With these therapies, I offer some additional add-ons such as cupping therapy, hot stones, abdominal chi massage, so working with the internal organs, and natural facial rejuvenation techniques, which help to bring vitality and radiance into the cranium, the skull, the facial muscles, helping to release trauma that may be stored in the face, and just to, bring an overall sense of radiance into the body. So I feel like I work very intuitively in each session. I don't think any of it is the same for anyone. I feel
I
like
was going to say, well, you are an intuitive, right? You kind of felt that way your whole life. It's so, can I call you an empath? Is that kind of the same word?
Yeah, I think that I didn't realize that in my earlier stages of life, but definitely over the last 10 years or so, I have really embraced that and really have developed my skills and really trust in myself, the ability to be able, what I am feeling in sessions, and be able to hold that space and support for people, no matter what is going on in their life when they come in to see me. And one other thing is, I do have my office here in Davenport and I do my sessions here, but I also do offer distance sessions and distance work with the craniosacral therapy, which is something that's been newly discovered during the pandemic for craniosacral work, that it can be just as effective done distance-wise as well.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's talk today about the original. I know when we first spoke, we did break down what biodynamic craniosacral therapy is. So let's bring it out again. It's very important to you, obviously. It's one of the biggest things you're doing, and it's helping so many. So let's dive into that. What is it exactly?
I wanted to kind of circle back around to this because it is our 10th podcast episode together, our final one. And when I first decided to do this with you, I really was thinking about, it's a big platform that anyone in the world could see or be interested in. And so I really do want to give a voice to the biodynamic craniosacral therapy, because I think it is a bit of a mystery to a lot of people. They hear craniosacral therapy and may think that sounds interesting or important, but really not know what that is. So I do feel like giving a voice to that I feel like that has been a big goal of mine for this series of episodes that we've done. So there are a couple branches of craniosacral therapy that's offered. There's the biodynamic craniosacral therapy, and then there's the upledger craniosacral therapy. And they are branch off of the same thing from osteopathic medicine. They just have kind of two different
Mm-hmm.
founders that took it their own direction. And so I'm speaking from the biodynamic standpoint. And
Okay.
in order, so if someone says they are a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, that does mean that they have met the standards of the Biodynamic Craniosacral Association, which means that we have done over 700 hours
Wow,
of
that many?
study.
That's
Yeah,
a
in order
lot.
to be an actual, call ourselves a biodynamic craniosacral therapist. So I'm
Clearly,
very
you are
honored.
experienced. Yeah, I've always known this. She's got so
Yeah.
much knowledge, but that's wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, for me, it was a 3 year program that I completed in 2022 and excuse me, 23. So not too long, a little over a year ago. And so it's the newest modality that have dove into, but it's also been the longest training and work that I've done. And so I'm very excited about it because I resonate with it so much. And so of course, the biggest question I get is what is biodynamic craniosacral therapy?
Yeah, it's a big
And
word. It's a big word. It could be
it
a little
is.
intimidating,
And so
but
we
it's
can
not.
short,
It's not.
no, it's a beautiful thing. And we can shorten it as I'm talking. So I'm not always saying that whole phrase to BCST. And so BCST is a gentle, light touch, non invasive therapy that helps restore and maintain health in the human body. And so it's not a manipulative therapy. I know upledger craniosacral therapy does a little bit more manipulative work with the body, but
Okay.
we are very much just placing our hands on the body and letting our
Beautiful.
listening touch help guide the session. So we're not actually manipulating anything. And it does have its roots in osteopathic medicine, but since then it has evolved to include advances in neuroscience, human
Hmm.
development, pre and perinatal psychology has been a big one.
Yep.
Somatic therapy techniques have also been integrated with the craniosacral work and trauma resolution. So having some sort of knowledge in these as well, practitioners are trained to facilitate the resolution of conditions resulting from stress in a person's system or overwhelmness that they're
Yep.
feeling or an injury that they've experienced. So very gentle.
Good.
What is the cranial sacral system? I think that's another one. You hear that word and you kind of try to put it together in your mind of what that might entail, but it extends from the cranium, so your skull, down to the sacrum, which is the tailbone area, and then the pelvis. And so all of that encompasses the brain and the spinal cord,
Hmm.
which governs the health of the nervous system and affects every other system in the body. So a biodynamic approach to the cranial sacral system is a very holistic one. We're approaching it from a whole body point of view. So no part of you is left unattended in a
Hmm.
session.
I love that.
Um, yeah, the breadth of the work includes the physical body as well as the fluid and energy systems, all of which naturally support our mental and emotional well-being. And I think that's why I was drawn to this work as well, because I am Reiki attuned. I practiced Reiki for a long time and still do, but the cranial sacral work, I think,
It's
combines that very
all of
much
it, right?
anatomy and science and energy work all into one. So for me, it kind of gives it a bit more of a tangible experience rather than just trying to feel the energy. I'm also able to tune in deeper, I feel like, to the body and understand a little bit more what's going on deeper in the body with so many different things. So, um,
Wow. I'm like, how do you
so
tap into it? How does it work? I mean, it's for people. We're going to talk about, some of the benefits. And if you're out there with the headaches, orthopedic
yeah,
problems, I mean, there's all different types of medical reasons, fatigue and things that could help. So I don't even know all them all, but I've heard. and
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I just want to ask, did you tell me was your son? Are you training your son? Is he doing this as well, or?
No, well, my son is 2 years old. So
But you
I
said something
was
about
pregnant with him while I was
that's
in my training, in
beautiful.
my BCST training.
God,
And so getting
little too
to
young.
experience with my teacher on how to really tune into the baby while I was pregnant. And then when he was born, it was a nice, healthy, natural birth, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't trauma
Trauma.
involved with that with the baby. So
Hmm.
recognizing and learning certain things to look for, and then
Yeah.
with the guidance of my teacher, getting to work on my own baby or have her also give him sessions, and that definitely put the light bulb on for me in my own work. I'm like, wow,
Yep.
I could really help families as well with this cranial sacral work. So yes, working in the pre and postnatal period with cranial sacral therapy is huge. Um, and I really feel like any sort of body work for your baby as a newborn is so beneficial because you can really address some issues, some
Yep.
trauma that happens at that such early stage, and therefore going to prevent any other major developments or issues to arise as they develop. Is what I'm trying to say there. So it's a very good, amazing, holistic, preventative
Hence the
therapy
work you're
for
doing with those and
for
other
babies and
mothers
for
out
children
there.
as well. Yeah,
Got it.
children in the early stages, early years as well. If you didn't know about this and you have toddlers
Yeah.
or older children as well, like it's still going to be very beneficial for them. And so yeah,
Oh,
that kind of led me into my next question that I wanted to answer that I get is like, what conditions can BCST help? And really, it addresses any underlying condition that can inhibit the expression of health in your body. So there's no list of specific treatments that we just work with. It can be for anything that's going on in your body. And so the source of our discomforts are commonly trauma-based or symptoms of overreaction from stress in our lives. And so we
we have a
create a
lot
very
of
nice,
that. We have a lot
yeah,
different, everyone has that, right? The stress, the
right.
anxiety, that term that the uptick in that term since the pandemic. It's insane. But
Oh, yeah,
have we
it
always
is
been this
huge. And I,
stressed, or are we really getting more stressed? Or are we more aware of what stress is and anxiety and we keep talking about it?
yeah, I think during the pandemic, we all, well, not everyone, but a lot of us had time to kind of stop what we were doing, and then realize, oh, wow, we were doing a lot in our lives that wasn't maybe necessarily the most healthy thing for us we are very much, especially here in the US and the Western society, a go, go, go society, always, trying to do our best and do all the things. And so sometimes, yeah, oh, that definitely creates an overwhelm in our system. So recognizing that and taking the time for the self-care is huge. And so for the cranial sacral therapy, as a therapist, we're really about creating an environment that feels safe for you to come in
Aw.
and able to settle in and relax and receive this gentle therapy that can have very profound effects. But of course, it does really help with, I do get a lot of people um, that have migraine issues.
Mm-hmm.
And so just anything that can relate to the cranium. It can really help gently decompress
Mm-hmm.
the skull bones and unwind any patterns that are happening in the nervous system in a gentle way that can help all sorts of symptoms release. Especially, yeah, any sort of, if anyone was in a car accident and is experiencing residual pain
Mm-hmm.
from whiplash. I've had really good results with folks that have had accidents where they did have their head jarred or whiplash. And it's amazing the patterns that you feel in their body from that, and just really helping it gently unwind and come back you're kind of energetically feeling their system come back to a state of balance. It's really wild to feel this happen, but it almost does kind of feel like magic sometimes, but it's really just someone having that support with someone else's hands on them, and their body's able to just go into a deeper state of relaxation and feel okay for releasing whatever it was that they've been holding on to. So any sort of
No.
jaw issues, anything with the nervous system is huge. So again, with the prenatal stuff, mothers that are pregnant, their pelvis is getting all shifted around, organs are getting moved around.
Mm-hmm.
So just holding support for bringing all of that back into a state of balance can help with the birthing process. And it's amazing work. Anything, even, injuries with
Yeah.
the limbs, the arms, the legs, it's all related to the nervous system. So this work really does address anything. It addresses it from recognizing that everyone is in a state of health of some sort,
It's
and
so
you're
true. Now,
supporting that health.
does
And then
does health insurance recognize this? Is this covered?
I do not. I'm not set up to take insurance. That is definitely a goal of mine. I know that there are other therapists that offer
Okay. No, just
other
curious.
modalities
Yeah.
that can be a part of craniosacral system. I was just listening to a podcast recently where the craniosacral therapist lives in Canada, and it's all covered in their healthcare system
What a
for
shame.
mothers
I mean,
and babies to receive craniosacral work. And so yeah, that is big, and has been a goal of mine lately,
yeah.
is really thinking about how to reach to the population that couldn't normally be able to come in and receive this work regularly. So yes, if
Oh
those
my
listening, you can
goodness.
always check back into my website
Yeah.
for future updates on that. Or I am always willing to work with someone financially, if they are really feeling like they want the work,
Mm-hmm.
to work with them to be able to receive it, because it should
Oh,
not be an inclusive thing. It should
no.
definitely be very available to
Absolutely.
everyone. So
Absolutely. Well, hold on. Just got to remind everyone how we reach out to our friend here. Tell us the website, social media pages, phone number, and we'll continue
yeah.
after that. Thank you.
Yeah, my website is thewellnessnookqc.com. The
Okay.
QC stands for Quad Cities, which is the larger metropolitan area that Davenport is a part of. So
Okay.
thewellnessnookqc.com. The phone number, which I'm always happy to respond to phone calls or texts, that number is 563-477-4500.
Mm-hmm.
I have Instagram and Facebook, and Instagram is at the Wellness Nook QC, and Facebook is the Wellness Nook.
Aw, thank you so much for that. And by the way, how long did it take to do the schooling behind it, that let alone the 700 hours? Just curious how much time was
Yeah.
invested in this.
I know each
Oof.
school or facility that offers the whole certification for BCST varies. Mostly it's at least 2 years. Mine was 13
Okay.
modules
Wow.
that were done every 3 months. So I would go for 4 days of training or learning every 3 months, and that took 3 years. And at first that felt a bit overwhelming to commit to,
Yeah.
but I really learned to appreciate it because you're learning a lot in
Yep.
4 days. And then to be able to have the time to really dive into that piece of material over 3 months was huge. And then for the training, you have to do at least 150 practice sessions on folks. And so I was always putting my hands on people as well. And so I really appreciated how in-depth the training was, because it sets you up for success when it's time for you to go out on your own and present it to the world through your practice.
Got it. Absolutely. And now, for this is our last show, and I know you really want to still focus more on this. I want to hear about the experience with your clients. How have you helped them? Is there any like real, what stories do you want to share about someone who came to you and you really helped them heal in a sense?
Sure. I would say even most recently here, I have a woman who is in extreme pain. She
Mm-hmm.
has a disease that is causing her bones to become more brittle. And
Okay.
so things will go out of alignment and out of whack
Mm-hmm.
for her very easily. So she's always in a neck
Wow.
brace. She has to like really be aware with every, going upstairs or something like that.
Yeah.
And so it leads to other issues. And so she's doing all sorts of work, or has been for some time, acupuncture and chiropractic work. And so she's really setting herself up for success with all of this. And then someone recommended craniosacral therapy, and she found me and reached out. So we've been doing weekly sessions now for a while. And
Wow.
for her, I really feel like her adrenal glands are on high stress mode all the time because of everything that's going on in her body. And so,
Right.
with
Huh.
chiropractic work and acupuncture, those sessions can last a little while, but you don't necessarily really have the space and time to
Mm-hmm.
settle in deeply. And so for her,
And then,
it resonates. She feels like it's really beneficial to have that time for her adrenals to
mhm.
recharge. And so, um, in a session, I had a list of, a lot of people are like, well, what does it feel like, or what do you experience in a session? But
Good question.
a lot of times it's what you feel is you are in a deep state of relaxation. You can relax so deeply that a lot of people do fall asleep on the table,
Oh my
or it
gosh.
seems like they're sleeping, and they wait when the session is over. They're like, it felt like I was sleeping, but it also felt like I was in
Yeah.
a completely different state of consciousness than what I would
Wow.
normally feel like when I'm sleeping. When I receive cranial sacral work, I 90% of the time
Yeah.
drop down where I feel like I'm in this very relaxed state of sleep. And a lot of times it's because our systems are so taxed. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
really allowing you to deeply settle in. And that's what your body needs at that moment, is to just have that reset. And a lot of times that looks like, yes, falling asleep for a little bit. And that doesn't
So
mean that
true.
there's no changes happening in your body, because there very much are during a session. Things can still shift and unwind. Or a lot of people feel like they enter a very quiet meditation like state. Feels as if you are dreaming while awake. You experience memories or insights while on the table. And that's happened as well, where um, it's kind of wild, where I'll be feeling something happening where, depending on where my hands are, and I'll feel a shift. And I'll be like, gosh, I wonder if they're
You
feeling
feel
it as
like heat,
well.
or what do you feel? Like a vibration?
You can definitely feel heat. Yes,
Okay.
heat is the big one. It also feels like
Wow.
a lot of times I'll feel like energetically my hands are way off of the person, even though they're on the person. It just feels like something
Yeah.
is not there. So it feels like my hands are floating way out. And then all of a sudden I can just feel this shift, and I can feel the hands come back to where they need to be on the body. It feels like everything's oriented
Amazing.
back. And then so I'm like, oh my gosh, are they feeling this? And that's usually when like a jolt, or just kind of like yes, like their body will kind of jolt a little bit. Or multiple times I've had people just out of the blue, or I'll kind of check in with them verbally, like, are you noticing anything? And a lot of times, like, they'll have a very specific memory that comes up for them, um, which, is subconsciously maybe relating to what just happened in their body. Yeah, a lot of times it's kind of like a very interesting childhood memory, or something like that. And so those memories can also bring up emotion. And so there could be
Yep.
some grief or anger or held trauma releasing right then. And so as a therapist, we very much have to be um,
Oh yeah.
supportive of that, and making sure, that we're very much creating a safe space for those things to release. So yeah, each session can be really fascinating because that can happen in a session where that wasn't even what we were focusing on or what they were thinking they were going to be focusing on in a session.
Wow.
Your body kind of chooses what it wants or needs to work on in a certain
Okay.
moment, even if that's not what the person, is thinking that they are needing to work on then.
Got
So
it.
it's
Well, I
fascinating.
can't believe we're out of time.
Just
It's
like
been a
that.
pleasure getting to know you and all the work you're doing at the Wellness Nook. And tell us how we can reach out to you and how that
Yeah,
process works. Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you so much for providing this space for me, Jill. It's been a pleasure. You are so comfortable to talk with.
Thank you.
But yes, I can be reached at thewellnessnookqc.com. 563-477-4500 is the number. Instagram is at the Wellness Nook QC and Facebook, the Wellness Nook. I would love to hear from you from wherever you're at listening.
Perfect. Don't have to be in Iowa. It's a Zoom. You can go anywhere around the world. And BCST, I love the, biodynamic craniosacral therapy. Yes, it can help so many people. And I can't believe all the training you had to do. That's fascinating. But as an empath, as an intuitive, I feel like you knew this was your path, right? And here you are helping so
Yeah,
many. So thank you.
very much. Yeah,
And so you just have one son that's a baby? Well, two is
I do.
baby.
Yep. One child at 2 years
God
old. So
bless. Yeah, mine are 7 and 9, and it's rough. I hope these techniques can help you stay relaxed, less anxious, and less stressed.
yeah,
Megan, thank
yeah.
you so much for being here. The wellnessnookqc.com. And until next time, we will meet again, I'm sure. Thank you, Megan. Bye-bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.